This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
If you're a seeker, don't miss the inspiring book Shamanic Awakening, Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Cochran's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers throughout the Americas. Sandy's initiations across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt, combined with her knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth, influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private readings, sacred international journeys, a meditative CD, and her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate your earth walk and create a deeper connection to yourself. Find this and more at her website, starwalkervisions.com.
Welcome to The Secret to Everything. I am Dr. Kimberly McGeorge from www.secrettoeverything.com, and I am so happy as usual to be with you today. And we have some super amazing guests, and I was reading their book, and I think this is such an important topic on so many levels. I am going to not bother you guys with my usual ranting and rambling and raving, and we're actually going to dig right into this interview, which, if you guys have been listening to the show, you know is quite unusual. So you know this is a different type of a show. A couple years ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Marti and Michael Parry, and that's Parry for those of you that want to look them up. Their website is www.SpiritArt.com. And they are just the most amazing. There's so many people in the field of the paranormal and the supernatural these days, but this is a husband and wife team that just does the most amazing things and accesses information in such a unique way. So let me tell you about them before I bring them on. So the reason they are so a little bit different is because they combine Michael's medium skills, and he's a high level, what I call a high level medium, with Marti's brilliant and artistic skills. And they do this when you read their book and you talk to people that have worked with them. Often they do it both separately and together, meaning they're not really necessarily, I know sometimes they even wear headphones when one is talking to one of their clients. So they're really bringing in really pure and high level information individually of each other, which makes it very interesting because a lot of people don't have that level of integrity if they work together, whether you're husband and wife or a partner or a fellow person in your practice. So I'm going to bring them on and let them tell you about them because they can probably do it a lot better than I can. So welcome to The Secret to Everything, Marti and Michael.
Hi, Dr. Kim. How are you doing?
Hello, Dr. Kim.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you guys are super busy, but we've got such important and amazing topics, and I'm going to save the best one for a longer segment. But if you could just kind of tell the story of how did you guys begin working together, both of you using kind of your separate and overlapping psychic abilities?
Yeah, well, hello, everyone. Thanks for having us on your show. We started together about 20 years ago in public, and I was doing mediumship already, and Marti, I knew she had a gift and ability, but I wasn't sure what it was. I just knew it had to do with her art. So one day I was still working at the time, and I said to her, why don't you sit down today and just see if you can draw someone that will make their presence felt to you and see what you come up with. So she did. It took her a little while to get to do it the first time. And then when we got home, she had this picture of this man, and she didn't know who it was. I didn't know who it was. and a young lady that was coming to our little meditation circle came over and recognized him as her boss that had died a year to the day.
Was murdered.
Wow.
He was murdered, yeah. He'd been murdered.
Wow.
And absolutely, it was him. She showed us a picture of him, and it was him. And we thought, wow, that's cool. He was actually a multimillionaire and gave away about $80 million before he died. He lived around the corner from us.
Huh.
So that was Marty's first experience. And then it took a little while to get her to sit in with me in sessions.
To get the confidence.
To get the confidence.
Right.
But once she did, she was off and running, and she would just produce these amazing pictures. So that's
now
how
I have no doubt whatsoever. Even if people don't recognize the person right away, it's like, oh, I know it is somebody, and I know it belongs to you. And I've had people like 10 years later figure out who it is.
And sometimes,
wow.
and so what do I do? Like the best one I could tell you is that one time a lady sat with us. Her father was talking to me. She didn't seem to know anything about him, nothing at all. I knew his name, I knew how he died, but she didn't know anything. We found out that she thought her mother was her sister until she was in her 50s.
Oh my
So
goodness.
he was an unspoken of person. Marty produced a portrait, and I looked at it, and it was the man I'd just been talking to. So I said, well, look, this is your father. His name's Jim. And she took it away. And out of the blue, a week later,
Her great aunt.
Her great aunt sent her an envelope in the mail with one photograph and a few papers. And the picture matched Marty's portrait, and on the back of it was the name James written on the back of the photograph.
Whoa. That
So
is
that-
absolutely
That shows.
incredible.
Well, that shows a lot of things. That shows that it's not mind reading,
right.
because she doesn't know anything. How could you do that unless somebody's talking to you, unless someone's communicating? And I recognized him too, and that was independent because Marty had her headphones on. She doesn't know what I'm saying. So that's the level that we, like you said, we work at.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are some of the most, well known for being super accurate. And like you said, even if it doesn't seem accurate at the time, it always proves to be absolutely amazing information. So this is our short segment. We're going to go away for a few minutes for a commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about a really fascinating topic to me as a naturopathic doctor, which is the topic of autism and this amazing book that they've worked on. And the website for that is www.theothersideofautism.com, right here on The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and Michael and Marty Parry.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
Welcome back to The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and I am here with Marti and Michael Parry. Their website is www.spiritart.com. And I have to tell you guys, I just downloaded, and I wish I downloaded it sooner, but I just downloaded this amazing book called The Other Side of Autism. Blown away. So well written, and I'm not even halfway through it. I am just, of course, this is a subject near and dear to my heart. I've worked with many of the autism disorders, autism spectrum disorders, so very, very fascinating information. But I kind of want to back up and ask you to tell your story of how you became involved in this project, because kind of the whole story leading up to the book is just as interesting as the meat of the book as I got into it. So if you could kind of share how you became involved in this absolutely riveting and such a timely, important topic.
Sorry. Sorry, got a frog in my throat there. Yeah, we knew the lady that wrote the book. We'd met her a few years back.
Laura Hirsch.
Laura Hirsch. Mm-hmm. And when Laura came to see us after, I think it's a couple of years had gone by, she came to see us, and in the back of her mind, she was hoping that Albert Einstein would say something to her in her session. And I started talking about him, and she kind of couldn't believe it. And I knew Albert because I'd met him before. A young man years ago had come to see me, and also I did get a hello from him many years ago in England. So I knew I had a connection with him. And so when she told me that she'd written another book, but it didn't pan out, and that she had made some connection to Albert, so, she told us, she was thrilled that Albert said hello to her, basically. And I found out that she had an autistic son, and so I said to her, well, let's do some sessions and see if they can give you some answers to this. Maybe we can find out what's going on, you know.
When we started out, we really didn't know much of anything about autism, and we'd never really thought about it. You know.
Yeah, I'd never thought about it, and I'd never thought about vaccines or any of that stuff. And you know, if you'd asked me what autism was, I would have said Rain Man. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my idea of autism. So when we got into it, it was a little unnerving to hear some of the things the spirit people were telling me, but I trust them implicitly. So, it was quite amazing to hear the stuff that they were saying. And I thought, well, and afterward, when Laura did her research, and then I dug into it with Marti, we began to see that they were right on the money. You know, they knew what they were talking about, and it was kind of shocking, really.
Because we insist on having evidence, even if we're doing it just for ourselves. We have to have something, you know. Give me.
Yeah, like
proof,
one of the little bits I like in there is when Albert, you see, would bring his friends all the people that he knew, and different people would show up at different sessions. I think we did 23 sessions with
Wow.
him, and over months, months and months. And I didn't know who Albert knew. I had no idea who his friends were, and he would mention them. And one time, George Bernard Shaw showed up. So I asked, who are you? And he told me he was Bernard Shaw. And as I spoke to him, I only ever said Bernard Shaw. So it was Bernard Shaw this, Bernard Shaw that. And I said to Laura, I don't know if he knows Albert, but he's come with Albert, so I guess they know each other, And, I didn't know anything about Bernard Shaw. I knew he was a writer, that's it. I've never read any of his works. So
I had no idea that he had any stand whatsoever on vaccines.
Yeah, so I thought,
Wow.
well, why is he here when we're talking about vaccines? What's he going to say to us, Anyway, as the session ensued, Marty kind of looked at me and said, well, he's George Bernard Shaw, but because I kept saying Bernard Shaw, you see. And I said, yeah, I know that, but George would not come out of my mouth.
Huh.
So at the end of the session, and now I will add one thing. Earlier on, you'll read that Albert Einstein talked about his Nobel Prize. That's earlier on in the book, before I met Bernard Shaw. And so after the session, Laura is such a great researcher. Oh my God, she gets online and she just finds out stuff. I could never find this stuff.
I'm pretty good, but she's
she's amazing.
Even better.
So she goes online afterwards and she finds out a few things. One, that Bernard Shaw only called himself Bernard Shaw. He never used the name George because he hated his father, who was called George. So he only ever referred to himself as Bernard Shaw, never George Bernard Shaw. That was cool. Then she found a real piece of footage of Bernard Shaw introducing Albert Einstein for his Nobel Peace Prize.
Mm.
So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool too. So they did know each other, and apparently pretty well. And then he had an absolute opinion on vaccines, which I never knew at all. He called it witchcraft.
Wow.
Because he'd been involved in some councils, city councils.
Sure.
And seen all the shenanigans going on with vaccines. He knew what was going on. And that was amazing too. I thought, wow, he does have an opinion on it. He absolutely knows what he's talking about. And I thought, wow, that's amazing.
So that it made sense to you why he came forword in this discussion about autism and vaccines. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this was in the 1910, 1912, somewhere around there. They were dealing with all this stuff back then, and even earlier. But he got involved in it in a big way, and I didn't know any of this.
That's absolutely amazing. And I love that you guys bring out the connection, or the spirits bring out the connection, and Laura, all of you together really as a team, including the other side, brings out these huge, really, you guys, you got to get this book, because in the first 20 pages, I know about this stuff. I know about underground bases. I talk to conspiracy theorists. I talk to people that are what I call in. I talk to people that I call have gotten out, that are living, at least right now. And so I'm used to this stuff. And there's really some, and I haven't even gotten all the way through the book, but there is some mind-blowing, I would say pretty hardcore truths in these books that really, to the common person that doesn't even know what you guys know, or, work in the paranormal, could really shatter the nature of how they view not just autism, not just vaccines, but really the nature of their reality. Would you agree?
Yes. You see, the title of the book is a little misleading. Well, not misleading, but it doesn't contain what the book is all about. Because I told Laura when we started, I said, I know you want to hear everything about, possible cures for your son and what's causing it and all that. I said, but I'm sure they're not going to just talk about that. They're probably going to talk about other things too. Who knows what they're going to talk about, I said to her. They may cover a whole range of things. I know, so let's see what happens. And they did. I mean, they mentioned Fukushima to us 3 months before it happened. Absolutely, we knew it was going to happen. We knew.
Wow.
I knew it was going to happen in the Pacific. I spent hours and hours on Google Earth trying to figure out which island the tsunami was going to hit. Wow. And I knew, I'm also worried, like I was worried at the time about the same reactor that Fukushima, the one built at Fukushima, has a sister plant in Arkansas, next to Oklahoma.
Oh.
And Marty drew the cooling towers that are at that one, with a big crack in it, and yeah. So that's been on my mind ever since the Fukushima incident, and Oklahoma is now the biggest earthquake epicenter in the world now. More earthquakes in California are off the charts. I mean, tens of thousands of earthquakes they're having. And
some not so little either.
And some not so little. So, it's kind of a little worrying there that plant is right next door to it. It's right there. And it's an old plant, and it's as bad as the ones in Fukushima. It's terrible design.
And
so
Marty, at what point did that drawing come in for Marty? Was it during this book, that drawing of the Arkansas Tower? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened was, who was it now? I can't remember. Oh, I know who it was. I think it was a Russian guy appeared to me. He gave me his name, and Laura found out that it was the guy in charge of Chernobyl.
Goodness.
Who had died, and he was the one telling us about Fukushima. And I saw this, the chemistry bottles that you have that you kind of try and get a beaker, and I saw it full of kind of acidic water shaking in front of me in my psychic vision. So I saw this, and I said, well, what's this? And they said, oh, it's nuclear plant. It's going to be destroyed by an earthquake. And Marty got that it would happen in March, and this, I think, was in January. So it was 3 months ahead, we knew. And I just didn't know exactly where. I knew it was in the Pacific, and I couldn't figure out exactly where. I just knew it was going to happen in the Pacific. And, you get this information, and you almost can't believe it. Because, my mentor was told about Chernobyl the day before it happened. So as pupils of his, we already knew Chernobyl was going to happen, and he was working with the ETs to offset it. And actually, there's in Prague, it was reported in the magazine Prague, I think, that there was a UFO seen hovering over the reactor at Chernobyl. And it cooled the reactor 75%. This green light came down over the reactor and cooled it down enough for them to be able to get a handle on it. And that was witnessed by hundreds and hundreds of people. So that's, I've been involved in this stuff for a long, long time. And it's kind of cool to be doing something a lot lower down on the scale than my teacher, but kind of along those lines, so
I don't know, you guys. Autism's a pretty big thing, and I think it's the things that you discovered and I've discovered, and other people as well have discovered through their various means, that it's connected to the whole topic of chemtrails and all of that. And we're going to go to break in a minute, but before that, I'm going to ask a question I know that the audience want me to ask, which is, Michael, do you control who comes to you? Is that them coming to you, or is that you asking them to come to you? Walk me through kind of how that happens.
Well, I just implicitly trust that whoever's going to appear to us and talk to us is arranged by them. Sometimes I don't try and control it in any way. They know my intent. They know my motives for doing this are as pure as they can be. So I just go along with their their agenda, as it were.
Totally understood. We are speaking to the amazing and very huge contribution on the planet at this time, Marti and Michael Parry. Their website is www.spiritart.com. This is Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and we'll be right back on The Secret to Everything.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, soul balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
Welcome back to The Secret to Everything. This is Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and I am here with Marty and Michael Parry. They are known as mediums. Marty's known as a spirit artist, and they are very popular, known all across the world. We are currently talking about, I believe, an important contribution of their work, which is a book entitled The Other Side of Autism. And there's so much in it, we couldn't even begin to dig into it in this hour. But I wanted to kind of ask both of you, what were your biggest takeaways about the specific subject of toxicity and autism that you kind of came away with from this book that kind of stuck in your energy fields and in your minds?
Wow. Well, a lot of things, actually. I suppose, realizing just how much I didn't know about it and coming to an understanding of that, knowing just how much damage is being done and is being by these vaccines. And I it's a huge argument. It's a big deal this is a big deal because we are now living as a medium, and you can see the controversy over this, the pro-vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers.
On the other side.
Oh my God, yeah, there's so much money involved in this. I mean, when you look into, Bill Gates is investing $650 million into vaccines. It's all money. It's money, 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 money. And, I didn't know Laura's son. I'd never met him. I didn't even know how old he was when we did the book. So it was a real eye-opener to find out what an autistic kid goes through,
Yeah. We did all of the sessions over the phone.
Yeah, we did them all over
Okay.
the phone.
Okay.
So we never met him. And it was kind of shocking to find out. And, of course, then I became more aware of autistic kids. So if I was out in public, I'd see one and I'd realize what they were dealing with, And then, of course, you've got the brain barrier thing is now a myth, because they've just discovered that the lymph system goes directly into the brain. They didn't realize that there was a conduit up into the brain. And all these kind of things. And you start, the brain-gut relationship. I had no idea just how powerful that was, I mean, I was quite ignorant about all this stuff, really. I'd been in the holistic field for a long time, but more to do with my homeopathy.
Okay.
That kind of thing. I've taken homeopathic stuff for decades. So yeah, just seeing how big this whole enterprise of vaccines is and what they're actually about,
And their mind control over, the whole process is really astounding.
It's just shocking to see just how manipulated we all are, really. Because, I mean, I've thankfully had very few vaccination shots. The only ones I don't know about are the ones where I was in the army briefly. So they're the ones that bother me because I can't remember what they were. But I'm pretty healthy, and so I don't worry about it too much. But I just, it is a big subject. It's
such a crime to humanity.
Yeah, it's such a con. I personally, I look at it as one of the biggest medical cons in history. That's what I look at it as.
That's a really rich way of saying that. I appreciate that. It's funny because, like I said, I'm a naturopath and I've been using technology, and I know you guys are probably familiar with some of these things. I know Laura is. I read that in the preface of the book, but we do thousands of scans on people all over the world each year. And do you guys know, I'm sure this won't shock you to know that in every single person, one of the first things as we get into the deeper layers of the imbalances in the body that the body asks is to do is what I call dump the vaccines. They want the energetic signature out of the body. They want the toxins. They want the mercury. They want all the chemicals. out. They come up, the body comes up screaming to get this stuff out of the body. And I think that's just so goes along with everything you guys, the spirits, you, Laura, all of you talk about in this book. It just, you guys talk about, investigations and evidence. And I see that evidence over and over and over also in the people that I work with, which is just so interesting. It's really, really big. And I love that you said the whole thing about mind control, because I consider myself as born awake. I was born with psychic abilities as well. And I used to be kind of cocky about it. But in my 40s, I am still discovering ways that I am deeply programmed, and I'm an alternative health, physician, but I am deeply programmed by this world. It's kind of mind blowing, to realize that.
Yeah, yeah, we're along the same lines
you
there,
have to combat it every day.
No matter how much you think there's, the deprogramming of the mind is just, just such a big deal. I mean, you're just constantly finding out, wow, all along I believed that, and look what I just found out. Wow, yeah,
absolutely.
And it really messes with your trust issues. I mean, who do you trust anymore? You don't trust the government. You don't trust your doctor. Who do you trust anymore?
That's brilliant too, Marty, because I said to my girls a couple weeks ago, and I don't mean this any disrespect to my parents. They'll never listen to the show, so they won't hear this anyway. But you know how it is with family. but I said to my girls, I said, why did Nana and Papa, which is what we call my parents, why did they lie to me about everything? And honestly, you guys, I know that they don't know and that they're programmed too. I mean, I know that. But there is a betrayal, because in every sector we can think of, and I know you guys will agree with this, in religion, I feel we've been lied to. In medicine, as we've been talking about, we've been lied to. In the history of the world, I mean, I think you guys and me probably with our abilities can tap in and access more of the true history and nature of what really, is happening, has happened, and will happen. But not everybody has the benefit that we have. And so who do you trust? Do we trust the history books? Do we trust the media? We know better than that. Do we trust
definitely.
the newspaper? I mean,
That's
we're
right.
kind of sunk. If I come to you and say, who do we trust? What would you guys say to that?
Well, I would say the only people you can trust are the people on the other side, on the higher realms. They're the only ones you can trust. And if you should meet an adept or a master on Earth, which are few and far between, only a handful, if you were to meet one of those, you could absolutely trust them, and perhaps disciples or students of theirs who are somewhat enlightened. That's about it, because really and truly, the only people that know anything, really know, are what you call knowers, people who have attained a certain level of self-awareness. And those people can access, shall we say, the truth or reality, and the rest of the people are just, really, they say, you meet people all the time, and they say, oh, I know this and I know that. No, they don't. They're just regurgitating what they read or what they were told. They don't know. It's like everybody that has never been to see the ocean. They believe the ocean's there. They see it on TV. They've never been there. They've never seen it. They never dipped their toe in it. So they say they know, but they don't. They believe it's there. True? That's the truth. They believe it's there. They don't know it's there. And it's the same with knowledge. Only the people that can access the deepest levels of reality can know what reality is. That's it. I mean, look at all these scientists out at CERN. I mean, they're just chasing.
Oh golly!
What are they up to? I mean, I have a little joke. I say that God has fun with these people. He gives them millions and millions of dollars to go find him. And yet the little guy sitting in a cave could find him, with nothing. I just think it's a bit of a joke, really.
That was a really profound. If you guys are listening to this on a recorded version and not live, I mean, I'd really start this over from the beginning. There's a lot of what I would call high truth in this conversation. Really experiential knowing, is really different, like you said, from thinking, that, and I always say, and I say this about me too, we only know what we know. 5 years ago, I thought I knew a lot, and I've learned so much in the last 5 years about the nature of reality. Most of it, unfortunately, similar to some of your guys' experience, not so pleasant, but yet, it is the people disseminating truth, and there is a certain resonance to truth. And I think as soon as I hit your book, I was just blown away. It's so well written. Your guys' contribution is so brilliant, and I really have to thank both of you just for the level of integrity and the work that you're doing on the planet. And do you guys still do a lot of one-on-one personal consultations, or are you working on other projects like this book and on other things right now?
We are
a little of
both. We are working mediums. We do groups. We do them every weekend or every other weekend, and we do like private groups at people's homes, and we do a lot of phone sessions. We do a lot of sessions at our home. We do Skype sessions. So we work constantly and have been for 20 years now.
This is all we do.
We don't do anything else. I think about it sometimes because there are times when this kind of stuff gets you down. You sit there and you know things are going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to sit back and watch it happen. It's kind of unbearable, really.
It's also very energy intensive, and it does.
It's very draining to do mediumship. I know that when my mentor used to do it, he would leave his body completely. So he was a deep trance medium, and he knew who was going to speak to him. And at a certain time, he would just sit down. In about 30 seconds, he'd leave his body, and this person would come in, sit in him, different voice, different physical attributes would take him over. And for about an hour, he'd talk about a subject or talk about what the teacher who had left his body was doing and where he was and what he was doing with others and masters and what they were up to and things like that. And when he'd come back, sometimes he was so exhausted that he would just collapse, and they'd have to use oxygen to revive him. They would have oxygen tanks. And this man was like far ahead of me.
You've let other people take control of your body before, and it scares the heck out of me sometimes.
Marty's like, let's not do this again for a while.
Yeah, especially when Wyatt Earp came in and took him over. It's like,
well, that could have been kind of fun, Marty. Oh, you guys crack me up. It's funny. I also said to my girls a couple weeks ago, because I'm a remote viewer and I can view timelines, and I just saw some really heavy things. And I actually told my oldest daughter, I said, you know what? I just want to go in my closet and lay on the floor all day. Like, it was that heavy. And you guys know what I mean. Like, you've shared super heavy things that you guys both learned and found out before they happened. And it's just so heavy, but we are not alone. And when we come back from this break, I want to kind of talk to you guys about the spirit world, a little more about your mediumship, how you work together and your view of God, and how I know you guys are so aware we're not alone, and maybe we can kind of leave the show on a high note and give everyone some happy hope. So we'll be back with Michael, Marty, Parry on the Super.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? I'm Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and on The Secret to Everything, we will merge the practical with open investigation into all realms of the mysterious. We will talk to cutting-edge alternative health practitioners, those who inspire and motivate you in business and life, and of course, we will share stories of the paranormal, conspiracy, and cryptozoology. You will transform because of the frequency I carry, the frequencies my guests carry. Life may never be the same after you listen to this program, for the secret to everything is for you, the listener, for those who desire more in every area of their lives and believe that it can still be found. Listen and discover thesecrettoeverything.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
You are listening to The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and we have been having a really deep and wonderful discussion with Marti and Michael Parry. Their website is www.spiritart.com. We've also been talking about the other side of autism. You can add a .com on the end of that and read more about that, but I suggest you just go right to Amazon or somewhere you can download that electronically and start reading that, because whether you're interested in autism or not, there is a wealth of information about many topics, including the spirit world. And before the break, I was talking about how you guys are very aware, because of the work that you do, we are not alone. Humanity is not left wandering around, stumbling around in the dark, helpless. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. My understanding of it is that there are 6 levels in the spirit world surrounding this earth, and of course there are lower ones, which I hardly ever talk about with people, because we don't want to scare people.
I hear you.
But you know what I mean.
Yes.
So there are lower realms. Period. Now the higher realms, that's where the masters reside on level 5, and adepts level 4. Your regular folk are the level just above this, and you know, going up to 2 and 3, you have scientists and the great thinkers, and then, you know, adepts, and then masters on level 5. And level 6 is sparsely occupied. It's a very high level, and even the masters can only stay in the rarefied atmosphere of that level for short periods of time. Now, the other planets, all of them, are occupied, and they all have, in our solar system, and they all have high levels around them, much higher than the realms around this Earth. And they're what you call ascended masters. They're masters that have gone through the initiation of ascension and left Earth. You can only leave Earth by going through that initiation, in which you transmute your body into a light body, and that has to be done by you. So that's a very, the most advanced initiation on Earth. And then you leave Earth, and you can go to another planet, or you can choose to stay and be what they call a bodhisattva or an avatar. You give up your bliss on another world to help mankind, and that's what they call in Buddhist a bodhisattva. So avatars come here periodically. Buddha was an avatar. He came from another world. So did Jesus. Krishna. And there are others that, you know, we look at them and say, you know, not so well known, but also come from other worlds. I mean, you look at Tesla and you think, well, there's no way that guy, you know, he's not an Earth person. He couldn't be, you know. I mean, he was doing stuff that my teacher said that they have on Mars. So, you know, this guy, you know. So there are a few people that are incarnate that are not from here. So the masters, you know, on Earth, my understanding is the highest place on Earth is what they call Shambhala. And that's the place that they talk about in the north of Tibet, you know, Shangri-La. But it resides above the Gobi Desert. It's an etheric city, and it resides on the highest realm around Earth, above the Gobi Desert. It's like a floating city, and that is where all the masters reside. And of
course, you're not going to see any of this on the physical.
Yeah, you're not going to see it on the physical. But very interestingly, in the Gobi Desert, they maybe 20 years ago now, maybe a little longer, they discovered all those Caucasian mummies. Yeah, best preserved mummy, Celtic. They're all Celtic.
Wow.
1,000, 2,000 years before any Chinese dynasty existed there.
Interesting.
And they are sun worshippers. They have sun spiral discs tattooed on their faces and everything. You should look it up. It's very fascinating.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and they you know, they're the best preserved mummies on the planet if you look at them. So Xinjiang or something like that, it's called the mummies of Xinjiang. So anyway, so there are outposts of the Great White Brotherhood. There's one in Shasta, Mount Shasta. There's one in there's several of them. I know where they all are. So the masters are looking after mankind. You know, they are the spiritual hierarchy. They call it the Great White Brotherhood, but it's not just white people.
Right.
For those thinking I'm like meaning to say.
Right.
There's actually a lot of Native American Indians in the Great White Brotherhood because they're very, very spiritual people. They're very, you know, they led primitive sort of lives when they were here, but they were very spiritual. So they are the overseers of mankind. They assist us whenever they can. They're constantly working all the time to do what they can to help mankind evolve and to offset the opposing team which resides on the lower realms. And of course, most people, sadly, allow their minds to be used and influenced by the ones on the lower realms instead of focusing on the higher realms, which if people do that and just realize that, these miracles can happen, and through prayer and meditation you can connect with the highest people on this planet and do tremendous good in the world.
I love that. And I love that, I think you mentioned before, sometimes just that silence, like you said, that meditation, whether or not you're praying or saying intentions or whatever you do in your own personal spiritual practice, just that silence, you'll be surprised. I believe we all, have some kind of intuitive abilities and gifts, but we definitely all have the ability to connect spiritually when we put ourselves in that position. No, we may not have Marty's, beautiful artistic talent. No, we may not be, a channel medium like you are, but we all have, would you say we all have some ability to connect to the higher frequency levels, like you said,
Absolutely,
and to
absolutely,
light,
yeah.
love, all of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always like to compare it to everybody can learn to play the piano, but not everybody's going to be a Mozart. So yes, it's an ability. I don't like to call it a gift.
Marty's talking about what we do.
Yeah, what we do.
Medium.
Right.
Mediumship. It's an ability. It's not some mystical gift or anything. And it can be improved with practice. And
but I would say that, early on when I got into spiritual work, it wasn't to become a medium. That was not. It's like you can, if you do your spiritual work, you're finding your bliss and sending out love and light wherever you are. You will naturally develop your powers, what they call the powers, or your abilities. They will come naturally. You don't have to do anything specifically to nurture them, because they, it's a given. They will develop, because as you heal others and as you channel energy.
That's what we started off doing. Is we wanted to become healers.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, I've done hands-on healing since I was 20.
Awesome.
And my teacher wrote a book called You Too Can Heal. He got so fed up with all the nonsense out there that he wrote a book. It's called You Too Can Heal.
Okay.
So simple.
And it's so simple, and he taught a technique working on the chakras too. A very simple technique, and it's so powerful, I tell you. I've done it on people, and they've left the hospital, and the doctor can't believe it. He said, I can't believe it. It's a miracle. And
beautiful.
So it works. It absolutely works. I've used it for 40 years. That's an ability. That's something that, everyone's got chakras. Everyone has an energy.
It's a good point. Yeah.
It's not like Joe doesn't have one.
Right.
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 So everybody can do healing. And if you do healing, as you heal others, you too will be healed. It's going to happen.
I love that.
So you will, and as you get healed, then you will become more and more attuned and more sensitive, and the psychic abilities will kick in, and of course, you have to learn how to control them, and you have to learn, all that stuff. But there is no going backwards, So once people start doing it, they just have, that's it. You're on the path, as they say. You have to just now move forward, and sometimes it's a bit slow, and sometimes you feel like you're stuck. But just keep going forward. Don't give up, because it gets to the point where you feel like you're on a tightrope. And, once you're at a certain, level, you do feel sometimes a little removed. You do feel alone sometimes. But even though they're tests, they're trials and tests, you can't look back. You've got to move forward and be brave. And my teacher said bravery is the most important first step. You have to be brave. You can't
Absolutely.
be a coward in this
Agree
work.
with you. That is so beautiful. You guys, we are running way into the end of this show. I'm going to drop your website really quick. If you'd like to talk to Marti and Michael Parry, maybe if you're lucky enough, they'll squeeze you in. SpiritArt.com, the other side of autism.com. Thank you so much for being with us today. You guys can Google them. There's tons of information about them online. Thank you so much for being on The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge.